Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Light showers continue to highlight our forecast heading into those Wednesday evening plans. Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Gabe Maynor, and again, another soggy day across North Mississippi, but luckily there is some light at the end of the tunnel. Literal light, and that comes in the form of sunshine as we get into our Thursday. We'll talk more details about that in just a moment, but let's go ahead and get into those headlines. Rain chances diminishing and a better outlook heading into our Thursday, like I just mentioned, but with that comes a cost, and that cost is going to be colder temperatures on the way, especially for those morning lows. So if you thought today was a little bit chilly, well, buckle up because Thursday and Friday gets even cooler. So those trick-or-treating plans, we'll take a look at that forecast temperature-wise, but in regards to how it looks in the sky, we'll look at that as well coming up here in the Room to Room Weather Center. Let's start with a look outside, or actually let's start with the first 12. I forgot about that one. 20% by 7, and then isolated chances into those overnight hours. Our chances round out around 10% closer to 1, 2 o'clock in your Thursday morning. Beyond that though, drier conditions, partly cloudy skies, not mostly cloudy, and that means sunshine will be in our forecast for our Thursday. Temperature wise, 46 degrees heading out the door, so another cool start to the day, but that will get even cooler in that extended forecast. It's just anticipation. Not really eager anticipation, but anticipation nonetheless. Mississippi Live Weather Radar, what are we tracking? Well, that little bit of moisture still in the area as it's working through with some of that wraparound moisture. You can see the direction that this is headed, moving more in that southeast direction as that wraps around that low pressure center that we'll see here in just a moment. But there's that direction where it's all headed. So a lot of these showers, if you've gotten some showers there in Clay County, Chickasaw County, even down there towards Octopaha and Lowndes County, getting additional moisture developing there on the backside if this sticks together. But that low pushing far away from here in North Mississippi, and when that low leaves, that's kind of our initiation point, and when it leaves, not exactly tracking much in the form of rainfall. So let's go ahead and talk about rainfall rates. And as you can see right here, not exactly overly high. Lafayette County, a little over 1/4 of an inch. Same thing over here in Lee County, close to 1/2 of an inch. That's our best output so far, but as these are moving at about 30 to 40 miles an hour, not going to accumulate too much, so not having to worry about ponding on those roadways or any flash flooding threat. This is just going to be in addition to what we've already received. I know there's that turning point event in Oxford this afternoon and evening, so for folks heading out there, be ready for those slick conditions, and of course, make sure to have that rain gear ready as you walk up to, I believe it's in the basketball coliseum. So if you're heading that way, then just be ready for some additional rainfall. And even then, we're talking about storm tops. Storm tops really help us dictate how large those rain droplets are because of that development further aloft. It also helps with that the heavier amounts, and being that they're not overly high, we're not expecting that. As you can see right here, 10 to 15,000 feet. That's really the extent that we've seen across North Mississippi, and some of those higher outputs further out towards the east, but not here with what's left on that wraparound moisture. So we've been using that term wraparound moisture quite a bit. What exactly does that mean? Well, basically it's going to be this low pressure center that wraps around some of that moisture in a counterclockwise fashion. So all of this batch of showers and storms transitioning a little bit more north with that flow and then wrapping around on the back side. So if we talk about that counterclockwise motion, you can really get a visual right here. As you can see, I'm going to try and draw those broad arrows to line up with these rain chances. There you go. So there's your broad counterclockwise rotation, bringing us additional development right here in North Mississippi, including parts of North Alabama. So this area right here, more light to moderate in fashion rather than that heavier stuff that's out there towards Georgia, South Carolina, and Tennessee, even there towards Kentucky. Ours is going to be very insignificant and just in addition to what we've already seen. So let's keep that futurecast going, and as you can see, that low really transitioning out there towards the east, and then we're left with what's left. And that's really going to be the way to describe these rain chances going forward. Is we're getting the leftovers at this point. Not exactly overly impressive, but it is still a little bit of rainfall. It is still a little bit of food, even though it's not the main dish that we once had before, right? So Thursday morning, as you can see, a lot of those light showers transition more towards North Alabama, and we're going to be left with a much drier forecast for the start of our Thursday morning. Maybe a few pop-up showers, but expect a lot of those to be elevated. But beyond that, let's see what's driving into our forecast. High pressure pushing into North Mississippi, really the entire Mid-South area. So there we're getting some clearer conditions by 9 a.m. west of I-55, and we'll be enjoying that for the rest of North Mississippi further into our Thursday. So I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're ready to see some sunshine because I know I am, I know my plants are, and I know a lot of folks are across the area as well. So the next 24, while it might not be completely sunny, there will still be some off and on cloud cover, those clouds breaking up, especially by the afternoon, and we expect mostly sunny conditions in place. 47 degrees for the start of the day, 56 by noon, and we're topping out in the low 60s. A little bit warmer than what we got to today. Speaking of warmer, that's what we're going to be talking about here coming up in the next 60 seconds will be those temperatures, what exactly to expect in that extended forecast, especially heading into our trick-or-treating plans. We'll look at all of that here in the Room to Room Weather Center coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. In the next 60, we'll also take a look at Melissa and those rain chances once again. So stay tuned. We have a lot to talk about.
At Bulldog Burger, we take the burger game to the next level, like the Freshman 15, stacked with panko fried mozzarella. Unleash your appetite.
It's the TikTok sale at Room to Room Furniture. You have 4 days. The more you snooze, the more you lose. Wake up. It's the TikTok sale at Room to Room Furniture.
Hi, my name is Rosie. Regional Rehab Center helps kids like me by offering speech therapy, occupational therapy, and dyslexia therapy. Your support helps so many of us get what we need to grow and succeed. See you at the Rehab Center.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynor.
Well, we've seen a cool, chilly forecast as we've gone about our Wednesday. Temperatures not changing much throughout the day. I told my wife, hey, if this is too cold for you in the morning, then by the afternoon, it's probably going to be too cold for you as well. And she called me just a second ago and said, Gabe, it is a chilly afternoon across the Boonville area, but honestly, that's the case across North Mississippi. So this morning, temperature-wise, we were talking upper 40s with a few low 50s popping up, especially southwest Mississippi, or southwest part of our viewing area, should I say. But then the high temperatures, watch how little change happens. 56 in Houston. If we go back to that other graphic, 47 was the start. 50 in Amory, 57 by the afternoon. So very little change, a very uniform temperature distribution. The moments we see this type of forecast is whenever it's that blanket of cloud cover in the sky, a lot of moisture with some light showers. So that's exactly what we were expecting. I hope that you were expecting it too, because it was going to be a cool forecast throughout the day. Temperature-wise right now, already showing getting cooler than where we were sitting at this morning. We're currently 49 Houston, 49 in Tupelo, trending slightly cooler for the start of our Thursday, but that's just the result of some of that cooler air pushing in place. Looking at that regional look, you can see 65 all the way down there towards the Gulf Coast, but 55 in Jackson, 49 in Tupelo. We're going to be some of the coolest temperatures across the southeast as of the 6 o'clock hour on your Wednesday. Past 24 showcases those negative trends, those cooling trends that we're getting over the past 24 hours. So 11 degrees Jackson, 17 in Natchez, 16 in Hattiesburg, 6 in Tupelo, and 8 in Starkville. Could be a little bit higher as we get into those overnight hours. But of course, this is what's expected because what moved through our area? A cold front. Cold front doing what it does. It's in the name, cooling things off, and we're going to be enjoying that, especially once this moisture carries far away from North Mississippi and actually leaves us with some drier conditions to allow us to cool off that much more. So we have more to look forward to, especially if you want some of that cooler weather, but I understand it does come at a cost because that means drier conditions in place, and with the drought still in place, we do need as much rainfall as we can get. That's why I've not complained at all about the soggy forecast. As we look at that church forecast, 20% chance by 6, 10% by 8, and 10% lingers by 10. So you're probably at the service right now, but if not, make sure to grab that rain gear before you head out the door because even light showers enough to be a little bit of a nuisance as we wrap up those services. So we want to stay on that drier side. Futurecast Wednesday evening stays with those scattered showers, but those becoming more isolated in nature late into our Wednesday evening and into those overnight hours. You can see how a lot of those rain chances dissipate out and carry off towards the east into North Alabama. What we're left with here in North Mississippi is going to be that mostly cloudy sky making its way into a partly cloudy sky by the time we get to the morning commute of our Thursday. So teachers, students heading out the door by 6 a.m. You can see low temperatures. A lot of blue showing up, especially from what we looked at yesterday. This morning's lows were not near what tomorrow's are going to be, so we need to make sure to have those layers ready. If this morning was too cold, might add another layer to that because 43 Bruce, 42 Water Valley, that's only a 10-degree difference from freezing to what those temperatures are expected to be for our morning commute. So no one will judge you. 2 layers might be necessary as we head out the door for our morning commute. Our school day forecast talking about bundling up. We have 46 around drop off. Could argue that that could be lowered just a bit to about 45, 54 by lunch and 59 by that last bell. Warming up as the day goes on, but mostly sunny skies. The big addition that's going to be allowing the atmosphere to warm up. So that's the big difference that we're going to see. And of course, that is going to be driving our forecast moving forward. But I have talked to you guys about this high pressure center that's moving into the area. What this is going to do, you can kind of see it on the east side, that flow, that northwest flow, bringing in some of this continental air, which is drier and cooler, and that of course building more into North Mississippi as we get further into our forecast on our Thursday. This is a look by 9, 10, and 11 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Again, with those breezy conditions, let's actually just go back into our home view real quick. You can see some of these, I'm going to call them strong arrows, but these are basically our wind direction and also the magnitude of those wind gusts. Wouldn't be surprised to see 10 to 15 miles an hour with some gusts 20 plus. So that's important that we take that note because that's going to make it feel even that much cooler. We are talking about the possibility of wind chill, dropping those temperatures a couple of degrees in regards to how it feels outside. 12 p.m. still with those mostly dry conditions, those clouds and that moisture carrying out towards the east and making way for at least some breaks of cloud cover that will allow that sunshine to move into the area. This is 3 p.m. on your Thursday. Keeping with that forecast into those evening time frames, and of course it is going to stay dry, it is going to stay mostly clear, and it is going to stay pretty cool as well. So high temperatures Thursday, what are we seeing? Well, 60 degrees New Albany, 59 Oxford, and 58 towards South Haven. Down south, 62 Belzona and 61 in Grenada. This is slightly warmer than where we've been at, but you might notice up there, normal high temperatures around 71 degrees. So we're still well below that for our Thursday afternoon forecast. So if you wanted some of that cooler weather, well, your prayers are answered because we're getting exactly that for our Thursday. Now let's carry that forecast over into Friday as well. I'm going to go back on a broad view because there's not much to note here in North Mississippi. We're going to see a large batch of that moisture being driven out towards the Atlantic coast and leaving us here with those drier conditions. High pressure continuing to build into the region, and while it remains towards our west, that means temperatures are going to be slightly below average because we are getting that northerly flow into North Mississippi. So expect that cooler air to be in place for our Friday morning and towards our Friday afternoon. We'll look at those lows Friday morning. Whew, it's going to be chilly for sure. But even by the afternoon, those temperatures not exactly reaching up to our normal averages. So we'll see that in just a moment as well. But staying below that 71 degree mark once again. But watch what happens. That high pressure starts to push a little bit more east. Now this does transition our winds just a bit from more of a westerly flow to now a little bit of a southerly flow into our region once it fully clears into the region. So what you're getting right here, you can kind of see that southerly flow building into eastern Texas. Will take a second once that high clears for that southerly flow to build in, but this will primarily be by Saturday, Sunday, and into your Monday forecast before some of those warmer temperatures move into North Mississippi. High temperatures, 65 Amory, 60 Red Bay, 66 towards Macon. We're seeing 65 in Greenwood and 64 in Clarksdale, so that slight warming trend will be taking place, but still not near our normal high for this time of year. 70 degrees there for your Friday. Still going to be well below that all across North Mississippi, so make sure to find ways to stay warm. Now we do have Halloween on the horizon. We've been talking about cooler conditions in place. Well, 6 a.m. you can see 40 degrees. Some areas upper 30s, some areas talking about the first potential frost of the season. So make sure to prepare accordingly and go ahead and wrap those plants and make sure to not leave those animals outside because we want them to stay warm and don't want them to be dealing with any of these cool temperatures. But as the day goes on, sun will be out shining brightly, warming up our atmosphere into the low to mid 60s like we just saw. But as we wrap it up, 6 p.m., 58 degrees. That will catch you by surprise and be a little bit on the cooler side. So make sure those little ones have a long sleeve with those costumes or at least something to keep them warm. And even if they're trick-or-treating beyond that, I know we tried to go until like 9 or 10 o'clock. There's probably one house still open at 10 o'clock at night, but hey, anything for a piece of candy growing up. But by then, we're talking some temperatures in the upper 40s. So shows you that bundling up will definitely be essential for any of those Halloween plans. And looking at low temperatures, as we talked about, 39 degrees Friday, 39 once again for Saturday, but then that gradual warming trend into next week, back into the mid 40s. That's our normal for this time of year whenever it comes to our low temperatures. High temperatures follow suit and warm up into the upper 60s as well. 46 degrees for our Thursday morning, 56 by noon, and topping out around the low 60s. Again, slightly warmer than what we saw today, but that warming trend definitely building in by the weekend. Once that high pressure fully clears out towards the east and that southerly wind builds back, temperatures will return to the low to mid 40s for lows and highs mid to upper 60s. So yes, It's going to be cool for the next couple of days, for sure. You could probably call it cold. But beyond that, we do see some relief coming and also drier weather paired with it. So next week, we will have a much better forecast to enjoy than these soggy conditions we've had the past few days. But we know that we have been talking about Hurricane Melissa. We have a full summary on what the hurricane season has provided so far for 2025. And we will track the latest on Melissa as it continues to be a hurricane moving into the Atlantic and moving through the Bahamas. Full look at what Hurricane Melissa is doing now, coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6 in the next 60.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Welcome back here to Mississippi Live Weather. This is a look at our 2025 hurricane season summary. So far, we've had 13 named storms, 5 hurricanes in total out of those 13, and major hurricanes. The big number right here, 4 total major hurricanes, meaning Category 3 or above. And the season is not over just yet. That wraps in November, which we are inching closer towards. But, I mean, the fact that we could still have another development is just insane considering the active season that we've had. Now, hurricanes, actually, one hurricane down from our normal average, our 30-year average for what we typically expect, but major hurricanes, one above our normal average for the 30-year average. So it shows you, while it might not have been numerous, it was strong. So it was unfortunate, especially because one of those Category 5 storms did hit landfall over there in Jamaica and Cuba, but we have been fortunate dodging a couple of those as the season has gone on. Luckily here in North Mississippi, haven't gotten any impacts from any tropical development, and we'll always take that if that is an option. So as we look at Melissa, where do we currently sit at? Well, satellite imagery not exactly being offered as of this point because of where things sit time-wise, but our water vapor imagery definitely showcasing that strong hurricane still over the top of the Bahamas. This has transitioned a little bit north of Jamaica and north of Cuba, made landfall the past couple of days and left devastation behind it. But if we look at that difference, I mean, there's Jamaica. We are now several hundreds of miles away from that and continuing to move north-northeast. Now, what's exactly happening? Well, honestly, it's a fortunate thing because this definitely could have moved maybe north, maybe northwest. But the lucky thing for us was that we had a front push through the area and currently getting that there towards Jacksonville and Tampa, driving this forecast away from us, meaning that Melissa, not going to be an issue for anyone else once it fully clears the Bahamas, and this already starting to diminish as it's currently sitting at about Category 1 strength. So if we look right there, Category 1 winds around 90 miles an hour, and that pressure center currently 974 millibars. Now this is expected to increase just a bit in strength as it enjoys some of that warm water in the western Atlantic, but as it builds more north and that cooler water enters the forecast, that's where we'll start to see this diminish. So Category 2, a realistic possibility by Thursday morning, but by then, it's a fish storm moving away from us here in the lower 48 of the United States and even those island areas down in the Caribbean. So we keep this forecast going, and as you can see, by Friday morning, well into the Atlantic and steering clear of us for the most part, and maybe making landfall on the east side of Canada, but that's still some uncertainty with that as it dries up in that northeast direction. And there it will remain into Saturday afternoon at about tropical storm strength before it diminishes there in the northern Atlantic. So, Melissa, been an impactful storm, and again, continue to pray for folks that are being impacted down south. Although we're not going to be affected, there is somebody that has been affected, and we need to keep them in our thoughts and prayers. So make sure to do so. All right, so what we're looking at for our day planner this evening. Isolated showers do stick around in that forecast, but temperature-wise, going to be the big story moving forward, dropping to some cold temperatures during those morning lows. I saw some folks asking, do we need to worry about frost towards the weekend? I would go ahead and prepare for Saturday morning, being that 39 degrees is still in the forecast. It is potential for a few frosty locations, so go ahead and prepare. Bring those plants indoors, bring those pets indoors. Don't have to worry about pipes or anything like that. We're not at that threshold just yet, but definitely prepare for some cooler conditions. And again, if you don't want to be out in it, then your pets probably don't either. So make sure to prepare and bring them inside and keep each other warm together. So Yeah, sensitive plants won't like the below 40 degrees. So Terry, couldn't have said it better myself, bring those plants indoors. I have a vegetable garden that I'm constantly thinking about when making this forecast because it's our first year doing a vegetable garden, might I add. And I'm trying to figure out ways to keep it warm because I can't exactly pick up the entire bed and bring it inside. My wife would not be a fan of that. So probably just gonna lay some blankets out maybe and warm up that soil. I don't know, I gotta research. Any advice? Put it down in the chat because I'm a new not botanist, would it be gardener? We'll say gardener, but maybe botanist. Let me see. Making sure that we've answered everything here. Looks like we have. So again, if you guys have any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. I know this is going to be a forecast that's much calmer, but also going to be much cooler. And we need to make sure that we are prepared. So go ahead and do so. And of course, best way to do so is with the Mississippi Live Weather app. It's going to be free and available on iOS and Android. So make sure to go give it a download today. And a big thank you to everyone who has already supported us on this journey. We are nearly at our 4-month anniversary. So it shows you how time has flown by, and it's all been a big thanks to you guys for keeping this whole thing up and running. And we just could not be more grateful. Our next broadcast does come up tonight at 10. We'll be looking at the latest on those rain chances overnight and just how cool are we talking for trick-or-treating. We'll look at that in full detail, as well as those football forecasts coming up at 10 o'clock on Mississippi Live Weather. We'll see you there. Until then, have a great evening.
A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Scary that it can be put into anything, and we can't even see it or notice it.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.